Common indices to lecture number 30 is raw materials of color and pigments. Table of contents. The table of contents of this lecture are pigments, history of pigment and colors, pigments in nature, electromagnetic radiation, mineral-based inorganic pigments. So in this lecture, you will learn about the pigments and colors, what is the nature of pigments, and what is the role of electromagnetic radiations. What are mineral-based inorganic pigments? Pigments. What are pigments and how we can obtain the pigments? Pigments consist of small particles of colored compounds. Usually the pigments are consist of the extremely small colored components. You can see the picture of pigments in these slides, which shows that the pigments are composed of extremely small colored components, are derived from finely ground naturally occurring minerals, rocks and ores. How we can obtain the pigments? The pigments are derived from the finely ground naturally occurring minerals, ores and rocks. So we can obtain the pigments from naturally occurring minerals, rocks and the ores. What are pigments and what is their role? Pigments are insoluble particulate materials that provide color opacity, glass control, rheological control and certain functions such as corrosion inhibition or magnetic movement. So what are pigments? Pigments are the insoluble particulate materials. What are the properties of pigments? The pigments provide the opacity, glass control, rheological control, color and various other functions. They act as a corrosion inhibitors to inhibit the process of corrosion or magnetic movement. What is rheological control? It is the control of particle suspension and it is critical to many diverse application areas. They offer rheology control primarily in the form of viscosity reduction and prevention of gel formations. So basic role of rheological control is to reduce the viscosity and prevent the formation of gel. What is the role of pigments? They also reduce the cost of coatings by acting as a volume fillers. So, the main advantage of the pigment is that they reduce the cost of coating. How they can reduce the cost of coating? They reduce the cost of coating by acting as a volume filler. Pigments are used as fine particles ranging in size from 0.01 to 100 micrometers. Composition ranges from carbon black to sand. So, what is the size of pigments? The pigments are present in fine particles. They range in size from 0.01 micrometer to 100 micrometers. What is the composition of pigments or what is the composition range of pigments? The composition range of pigments is from carbon black to sand. History of pigment and colors. So what is the history of pigments and colors? Stone Age. The first period of cave paintings known only black and red outlines. So the Stone Age is the era of painting in which the first period of cave paintings are known only black and red outlines. So in this era, the painting which was known was consist of black and red outlines. Egg tempera. So what is egg tempera and when egg tempera was used? Egg tempera is an emulsion of pigment and egg yolk used in tempera painting. So a pigment and egg yolk was used in the tempera painting was the egg tempera. Until the 15th century, egg yolk was used as the most common binder and medium for paints. So, until the 15th century, the egg yolk was commonly used as a binder and as a medium for the purpose of paintings. Egg tempera is prepared by mixing egg yolks with a slurry artistic pigments in water. So how egg tempera is prepared? We can obtain the egg tempera by mixing the egg yolk with a slurry of artist's pigment in water. So by mixing egg yolk with a slurry of artist pigments in water, we can obtain the egg tempera. Enough water is added to provide the proper consistency for paintings. So in this procedure of making the egg tempera, the excess water is added, and this excess water is added to provide the proper consistency for painting. Fresco paintings. So what are fresco paintings and when these paintings were used? These paintings were used mostly in the old times. So what is the method of fresco painting? In fresco painting, the medium and the surface are the same. In this painting, there is an important point, which is that in this type of medium, the surface and mediums remains the same. An equisuspension of the pigment is applied directly to the wet plaster of the calcium hydroxide and fine sand. So what is the method of fresco painting? In this painting, first the equisuspension of the pigment is applied directly to the wet plaster of calcium hydroxide and fine sand. So when the Aqueous suspension pigment is applied directly to the calcium hydroxide, wet plaster and fine sand. The pigment is absorbed and is bound into the surface as the plaster dries. So after this, the pigment is absorbed, and after absorption of the pigment, it is bound into the surface when the plaster dries. So there are several processes which are involved in the making of fresco paintings. Limestone or marble is used, which is made up of calcium carbonate and is heated in a lime kiln to produce a quicklime calcium oxide CaO. So there are various steps which are involved in the fresco paintings. Vermilion cinnabar pigment. So what are vermilion cinnabar pigments? Vermilion is the standard name that is given to the red pigment. And these red pigments are based on artificially made mercuric sulfide. So basically, vermilions are the standard names, and these names are given to the red pigments because these pigments are based on artificially made mercuric sulfide. The common red crystalline form of mercuric sulfide is cinnabar, a name reserved only for natural minerals. So, the vermilion is the standard name given to the red pigments based on artificially made mercuric sulfide. So basically, vermilion is used as the standard name, and this standard name is given to the red pigments because these pigments are based upon artificial methods and artificially made mercuric sulfides. The common red crystalline form of mercuric sulfide is cinnabar, a name reserved only for the natural mineral. So, commonly the red crystalline form of mercuric sulfide which is used is the cinnabar. So this name is reserved only for natural mineral. Cinnabar pigments apply to the sculpture and to paper. So these pigments are applied to the sculpture and the paint. These pigments are applied to the papers. Egyptian blue. So what are Egyptian blue and what are their roles? It is one of the oldest man-made colors. So the Egyptian blue are the oldest colors which are man-made. Commonly found on wall paintings in Egypt, Mesopotamia and Rome. So these types of pigments are found on the wall paintings in the Mesopotamia, Rome and the Egypt. Calcium copper silicate. So calcium copper silicate is used in its making. So basically, the Egyptian blue are very stable synthetical pigments. These pigments consist of varying blue colors. It is one of the oldest man-made method or the color that is commonly found on the wall paintings in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Rome. Indigo was known and used as a dye in the early Egypt. It was mentioned by Pliny, who called it indigum. So, the indigo was a dye that was used in the early Egypt. This dye was mentioned by a scientist, Pliny. The scientist Pliny called it indigum. Alizarin. So what are alizarin and what is their role? Alizarin crimson is a red color that is biased slightly more towards purple than towards orange on the color wheel. So when you look at the alizarin crimson, you can see that these pigments are red in color and they are biased slightly towards the purple than towards the oranges on the color wheel. It is named after the organic dye alizarin found in the madder plant and the related synthetic lake pigments alizarin, crimson, PR83 and the color index. So the alizarin are named after the organic dye named alizarin. They are found in the madder plants. They are related to the synthetic lake pigments alizarin, crimson. Its PR is 83 and the color index. Pigments in nature. So what is the nature of pigments? Early artists had primarily earth tones in their palettes and many mineral based. So the early artists who used the pigments primarily they contains the earth tone in their palettes and many mineral based components. So what is earth tone? Earth tone is the color scheme which consists of multiple meanings. In its narrowest sense, it refers to any color containing some brown. So, mainly the earth tone consists of a color schemes with multiple meanings. It refers to as any color that contains some brown, the color of the ground or the soil earth. It can also refer to natural colors found in nature such as brown soil, green leaf, cloudy sky, as well as the red sun. So, these palettes can also create a warm, nature-friendly atmosphere. You can also see the earth tone scheme in this slide. You can take the example of pigments which are present in various colors such as charcoals and brown ochre. So it is the name of color that is produced by the pigment, especially a light brownish yellow. So brown ochre consists of a light brownish yellow colors. This color is produced by the pigments. There are a large variety of ochres containing a large amount of hematite or dehydrated iron oxides has a reddish tint known as red ochres or in some dialects ruddle. Mineral-based inorganic pigments. So what are the mineral-based inorganic pigments? There are various examples of the mineral-based inorganic pigments. Hematite, Fe2O3 dot and H2O is a source of red, yellow and brown ochre. So a hematite is the source of producing red, yellow and brown ochre. Cinnabar HGS is a source of red pigment vermilion. So cinnabar is used, which is the source of red pigment vermilion. Azurite into 2Cu CO3 dot Cu into OH taken twice. So another pigment which is used is azurite. So these are all types of the inorganic mineral-based pigments. About pigments, color basics. Before you embark on selecting colors for handmade or industrial cosmetics, a knowledge based on the fundamentals of color theory and color chemistry is required. So, before you embark on selecting colors for the industrial cosmetics or handmade purposes, it is required that you should have essential knowledge based on the fundamentals of color theory and color chemistry. Electromagnetic radiations. So what are electromagnetic radiations and what is their role? Electromagnetic radiations are the form of energy, and this form of energy is present around us. This form of energy is present in many forms. For example, the radio waves, microwaves, X-rays and gamma rays. These are all forms of energy that is present in many forms around us. You can take an example of electromagnetic radiations as sunlight. So sunlight is also an example of electromagnetic energy. The visible light is the light that consists of a small portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, and it consists of a broad range of electromagnetic wavelengths. You can see a spectrum of electromagnetic wavelengths which are present in a broad range in these slides. So only certain wavelength of light can be detected by human eyes. So there are certain wavelength of light, and these certain wavelength of lights are detected by the human eye. White light. What is white light and what is the role? So the white light is actually composed of all colors in equal amounts. So the white light is basically composed of the all colors, and these all colors are present in the equal amount. So how we can define the white light? White light is defined as the complete mixture of all of the wavelength of the visible spectrum. This means that if I have a beam of light of all of the colors of the rainbow and focus all of the colors onto a single spot, the combination of all of the colors will result in a beam of white light. You can also see a beam of white light in this slide, and the wavelength of different colors of light. Assignments. Assignment number 1 is what is encaustic. Assignment number 2 is how pigments control rheology.